Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Brett Klusko, and I thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. I'm not going to take too much of your time up. It would be about 25 minutes, I would hope for. But a little bit about myself. I'm a second-generation chiropractor in the Edmonton area, which means my father's a chiropractor. So my entire life, I grew up with chiropractic. I was just since I was born. I've seen kind of both sides of not only being a chiropractic patient, but also a student and a doctor too. So I have a unique perspective on not only trying to teach people, but also living it as much as I can. I truly believe that if we tell people to do something, we're not living it ourselves. It's not the best thing. And I really try to live as much as I can. But chiropractic philosophy isn't very unique. It's actually a very broad ideology that's been around for a very long time, and that the body is powerful itself. And the body is designed to be amazing. It all works in intricate together. It's billions of cells that all work in unison. And when that unison becomes disrupted, disease occurs. And our job as chiropractors is just to return function back to the body and let the body do what it's designed to do. So our belief on the human body is through prevention, is stopping things before they start, which we believe is the ultimate cure. If you don't really want to fight a heart attack after it happens or during it happening, you want to stop it before it starts. So that's how we look at the body. We look at the body of just returning function and eliminating interference. One of the laws I go by is actually a law of physics, and it's Newton's first law, and it states that a body in motion stays in motion, and that is very true for the human body. The people that tend to move more throughout their lives, they tend to be healthier physically and mentally. And this is through all stages of life. When we're kids, when we're adolescents, when we're going through our 20s, into our 30s, 40s, into aging, everybody needs to keep moving. Pregnant women, some of the best pregnancies are when the women keep themselves moving, they're exercising. So it's very important for all stages. And it goes off the simple philosophy is that you don't use it, you lose it. And it's very true. You look at something as common as arthritis, and that's going to be your regular kind of wear and tear, your osteoarthritis. And if you don't use something, you lose it. If you've ever broken something, you have something in a cast, when you get it taken off in 6 weeks, you're really stiff. And sometimes, depending on your age and how bad it was, you don't get that full range of motion back. And now that's a very specific example of it, but it's how the body works. If you don't use it, you lose it. And same thing with the mind too. If you're not pressuring yourself to row with your mind every day, then you're going to lose that too. So I want to start off with just kind of the leading causes of cancer. 2016 just rolled by, and I got a report from 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and obviously 2016 is not out yet, but it just breaks down the leading causes of death in Canada. And this is generalized over the last 5 years that number 1 is cancer, number 2 is heart disease, and number 3 is stroke. Cancer is 30%, heart disease is 20%, and stroke is 5.5%. Together they come to 55.5% of all deaths in Canada are caused by cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Now, can anybody guess the commonalities between all three? They're seen as lifestyle diseases, meaning that these are things that can be completely prevented through 2 things, diet and exercise. Now, people will split them and say you need to eat good and you need to exercise, and they kind of do one or the other, but it's very important to realize that diet and exercise go together. What you eat is going to depend on how much you're exercising, and what you eat depends on how much you can exercise. So these things are very tied together, and I like to look at them as one thing. So today what I'm going to do, the title of the Zoom call is A New Year, A New You, the Right Way. And what I'm kind of going off of is that we have some resolutions, and a very common resolution is I'm going to take care of myself this year. This year is about me physically and mentally too. So I want to give you some guidelines and some steps and some little life hacks and help with some myths along the way to really help you maximize what you do this year and really make it the best year yet, okay? I'm going to start with exercise. Now, in my opinion, we need to exercise every day. We need to move every single day. That doesn't mean we need to do the same thing every day. It means that we need to get out and do something every single day, something that stresses our body cardiovascularly and muscularly, and even skeletally, okay? The Heart and Stroke Foundation recommends that we exercise 150 minutes a week moderately. They also recommend that we get 75 minutes per week of vigorous exercise, which means we need to be putting in, 225 minutes, which comes to 32 minutes a day, every day of moderate to vigorous exercise. So that's not that bad. 32 minutes a day isn't too bad. Most of us should have that time in our lives to at least do 30 minutes. I know there's a lot of people that do more than that. They do up to an hour every day, and that's great. There is a limit to how much you do, and that's going to be a limit on your age, your physical fitness, and everything like that. But a good place to start is going for that 32 minutes a day. So my first fitness myth is going to be what exercise is best. Now, there's going to be people that are yoga is the best exercise. It's going to be people like, no, it's free weights. There's going to be people that, no, it's CrossFit. It's a high intensity interval training. It's going out and playing a sport, a contact sport, playing something like soccer. Well, do we all know what the best exercise is? It's the one you do. It's the one that you're going to do. You can sit there and say, I'm going to run a marathon, but you have to ask yourself, are you going to be able to do that? For somebody like myself, I'm not going to be able to run a marathon tomorrow. It's going to take months of training, and I imagine most people fall into that line. So the best exercise is the one that you're going to do. It's going to fit your lifestyle and something that interests yourself. But there are what I call necessary exercises. They're going to be the ones that are very important for specific parts of your body, like your heart and your muscles and your bones. And I'm going to go through these right now. And the reason why they're necessary is because when you do these exercises, they maintain yourself to help you having diseases in the future. So the first exercise that's really important is what's called axial weighting exercises. And what those are anything that stresses your body like gravity does. It squishes you down. So it kind of pushes on all your bones all the way through your feet. And these exercises are going to be things like classic weightlifting, doing curls, squats, bench pressing, things like that are going to be really important. Even doing things like isometrics a little bit, or eccentrics, which are going to be using your own body weight to do things. So you see people like jumping up on the blocks and stuff like that. But this isn't limited to just classic gym stuff. This is also going to be Zumbas, your aerobics, your yogas, and contact sports, of course, and even non-contact sports. Not chess, that doesn't count, or poker, that doesn't count. But things that aren't going to count like that are going to be things like water sports. Water aerobics are really good cardiovascularly because you're fighting in all directions, but they don't stress your body the way you need to. The importance of axial weighting is maintain your bone density. Something that happens later in life that we're all going to go through, no matter who you are, is osteoporosis. We're going to have our bones becoming more and more brittle with time. And axial weighting exercises forces the body to deposit calcium and energy into the bones where it's needed. So it's constant stress is very important for the later years. The next very important exercise is cardio. We need to have something where we're keeping our heart rate up for an extended period of time. And that's anything. And now a good stepping stone for a lot of people is, okay, how much is too much? How much is just right? And a lot of people will say, well, I go for a brisk walk for 30 minutes. And I give them this benchmark. And a good cardiovascular exercise is one that you're doing where you cannot have a conversation with somebody, meaning that you can only say a word before you have to suck air in. You're kind of, if you've ever done that and you're walking at a really fast pace and you're really struggling, you kind of have to slow down to hold a conversation. That's the level that you want to be at minimum. And then, of course, there's higher ones from there. You can do higher type of training. But if you're able to hold a conversation and talk to somebody on the phone while you're doing your exercise, that's not intense enough. So you need to bring it up a little bit. The next one is stretching. Stretching is extremely important. As a guy, I am not flexible. I'm not made to touch my toes very well. But it's something that I can change. Now, stretching is really important not only for mobility, usually decreases injury level. There's kind of a debate on that. But more than anything, as a chiropractor, I see that it really helps with people's joint motion for long periods of time. Once again, helping with things like osteoarthritis within the joint. So the more stretchy and movable you are, the more range of motion your joints are going to be going through, and the better you're able to maintain that. The next big one is you always hear those people like never skip leg day. Well, that's great now. Yeah, you don't want to skip leg day. You don't want to be that person. But the better one is never skip core day. Your core, your foundation to your body is so very important for not only your general strength, but for what I see every day where people come in with back problems, acute or chronic, and even just maintaining your posture. It's so very important because core exercises build your pelvic floor, and a lot of women have probably heard that, build your pelvic floor, need a strong pelvic floor. Well, it's very true. This core holds you together very powerfully. So never ever skip core day. And even if you can, put core exercises in. And they can be simple, and they have a wide range of beginning, intermediate, and advanced. And a good place to start are things like planking and little crunches and little things like that where you can do, or even leg lifts, little things. But the better thing is to step away from concentration exercises and do kind of functional full body exercises where you're using your whole body in unison. It's going to be really good to keep you nice and strong in your core. So a big excuse we get is that with exercise, we don't have enough time. Maybe 32 minutes is too long. Maybe you only have an hour every few days. Well, there's different types of exercises that you can do to kind of pack it all in. And I know a lot of people that do these because you can do 20 minutes of exercise that would normally take you an hour and a half to do. And this type of exercise is called high intensity interval training or Tabata training. And what it is you do one exercise for as hard as you can for 30 seconds, and then you take a 15-second, 30-second, or 1-minute break. And you break it up and you go as hard as you can. You create a little circuit where you do, let's say, push-ups, and then you do jumping jacks, and then you do wall sits, and then you do whatever, and you go through them. And you can really pack in a lot of exercise into a short amount of time. So that whole time thing shouldn't be really a big issue, especially 32 minutes of high-intensity interval training is pretty extensive. That hurts, and it's good for you. So another fitness myth is that we need to be constantly changing what we're doing. Every day needs to be something different, and that's not true. For the most part, it's every 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 months is how long you should have an exercise routine before you want to change it. And the reason behind that is because there is a transition that the body goes through that's really important to pay attention to. So let's say you're Bill, and Bill has not worked out in years, and he wants to get back into the gym. And let's say he goes into the gym and he does a good workout, and he stays on that for a few weeks here. What he's going to be noticing is this is called stage 1, and this is a neurological change. When you start an exercise, you're going to start building synapses. You're going to start making these connections stronger. Your muscles can be firing more efficiently. You're not building muscle at this point. What you're doing is becoming smarter, and you're working more efficiently. So you're going to notice these gains. You're going to notice that I'm getting faster, quicker. I'm lifting more pretty fast. You're going to get really excited about this. And this stage lasts anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. And so you're going to be really happy at this. And this is where people get like their January high. They're in the gym. They're going hard. Then all of a sudden February hits, and what they hit is stage 2, which is a plateau stage. You flatten out, or even you start dipping down a little bit. Now this is the transition stage where you start burning fat and you start gaining muscle. You've maxed out your neurological ability, and now you're going into the bigger stuff. This is where people really just disappear. February comes along and they are nowhere to be seen. Now, the reason behind this is when you start burning fat, fat does store a lot of toxins that may have been in your body at the time. And people will usually start feeling kind of crappy at this stage. They're not going to have their energy levels. They're going to feel like they don't want to go to the gym. They're just tired and exhausted, and they're going to plateau or get worse. It's very important that you push through this. The day that you feel you need it the least is the day that you need it the most. As you roll into the third stage, which is anywhere between 6 to 16 weeks, so kind of the rest of the stage after you get past that transition period, everything is clear sailing. And what's going to happen here is you're going to start building muscle mass. You're going to start getting stronger, and you're going to start getting that more of that steady gain. You're going to have a few bad days, good days, and up and down, but the trend is always in the right direction. And this is when you're really going to start making those big gains. And you're going to look back and you're going to start noticing those differences. You're going to start noticing you're slimming down. You're going to start noticing that you're lifting way more. So this is a really good time. So at the 3 to 4 month stage, it really depends on, number 1, how much you're doing this every week, and number 2, what your level is at. If you're a big guy and you're powerlifting, you're probably not going to get these massive gains. But if you're going for things like cardio, you want to get your endurance up, you're going to notice these big gains. But you're going to probably start plateauing around the 3 to 4 month period again. And what's going to happen is this is the time to change it up. Your body has gotten used to it. It's become a master at it, and now it needs to change. So that's what it's going to do, and that's when you want to change it up. That's when you want to go to a different type of exercise and mix it up a little bit. So how do you track this? Now, this is a big one, and I deal with a lot of people and the majority of people that go into exercise are looking for one thing. They're looking to slim down or lose weight. That probably makes up 3/4 of the people. And the first thing that people do to track this is to help them scale. Now, I'm going to challenge people, if you want to do this, is to throw that scale out. That scale is not going to tell you what is actually going on in your body. When you go through that transition stage from the second to third stage, when you start burning fat and gaining muscle mass weighs more than fat. If you burn the exact same amount of fat that you gain that muscle, you're going to weigh more. A lot of people will sit there and around this time and be like, I'm gaining weight. And they get frustrated, and once again, they take a dip. Mentally, they get irritated, and that time is when you want to push through it more and understand that The scale is not going to tell you accurately what's going on, okay? The better way to do this is to use dimensions on you. Measure your waist, measure your thighs, your calves, your biceps, your chest, even around your neck if you want. I know some people like me kind of have that weird neck, so I want to kind of shrink that one down a little bit. But that's how you can check it. It's a lot better that way. Don't use a scale. And also check your ability. You can write down how much you're lifting or how much you're able to lift or how many calories you burn that day on the treadmill in a certain amount of time and how easy it felt for you. These are easy ways to track it. And a really good thing to do is to put up a whiteboard or carry a little book with you and write this all down. This is a really, really easy thing to do. So let's move on to nutrition. Like I said, as exercise builds, your nutrition needs to build with it. And when one dips, the other one will dip. They're connected. They're intertwined together. And so one of the biggest things to the body is that sound like Sting song, every breath we take, every step we take, we're creating damage within our bodies. It's how our bodies work. As we burn energy, there are byproducts. These are going to damage our body. Now, as we exercise, that is going to increase dramatically. What do you think you feel when you work out for the first time in a while and you can't lift your arm to scratch your own face the next day? That's a lot of damage being done to your muscles and they need to rebuild. So that damage is called oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress is caused by a buildup of what are called free radicals. Now, free radicals are your pollution when you burn energy. They're the byproducts that are left over and they cause a lot of damage. But how does the system work? So I'm going to try to paint a little picture for you here. And what I want you to do is imagine a room. And this room is just a 20 by 20 room and there's a bunch of 2-year-olds in there, okay? So they're all sitting there and every single kid, let's say there's 20, they have their favorite toy. And they're sitting there and they're doing their own thing. They're in their little bubble and they're playing along and everything is good. Everything is great. A free radical would be a person walking into that room, going to the kid right next to him and taking that toy away. And that kid's immediately going to get really mad and it's going to get angry and it's going to kick and stomp around and it's going to turn and go, I want that toy. And it's going to steal it from the kid beside him. And then that kid's going to do the same thing to the kid beside him. And before you know it, you have this chain reaction and all hell is broken loose. There's screaming kids everywhere. Nobody's having a good time. It's absolute anarchy and it sucks. That's your body in oxidative stress. That whole room of hell is oxidative stress, right? So how does your body negate this damage or how does it fix this damage? What does it do to protect itself? And it does this through the use of what are called antioxidants. Antioxidants are compounds that come in that are able to relieve the stress. So in this analogy, an antioxidant would be the person who walks in the room with a bucket full of the best toys ever and dumps them in the middle of the room. You get a toy, you get a toy, everybody gets a toy kind of thing, right? And then everybody's happy again and orders are stored. And if that free radical comes around and steals a toy, the kid goes, whatever, I got 5 more where that came from. So those are antioxidants. And antioxidants are unique because the body doesn't create them. It needs to take it in from the outside environment and it comes in through your food. And the only food on the planet that has antioxidants is fruits and vegetables. It's the only thing, meaning that as we exercise, we need to be increasing our fruit and vegetable intake. Does anybody know what fruit and vegetable servings are a day now recommendation? I know a few people might, but when I grew up, it was 3 to 5, and then it went 5 to 8, and then it went 7 to 9, and then it went 7 to 13, and now it's 9 to 13 servings. 9 being either a kid or fairly sedentary, and 13 being a full-out athlete. So you have to ask yourself, are you getting that a day? And I can kind of put my hand up because I'm about 50% with that. I'm still working with it. It's kind of tough when I have a little guy running around, so that makes life a little bit more difficult. But at the same time, that's what we need to be at. So that 9 to 13 servings a day needs to be done every day. And in my office, in my intake forms, I have a section for nutrition, and I would probably say about 95% of people do not get that. And if you ask them about everything else, do they get enough protein? Do they eat enough meat? Do they get enough natural grains? Do they get enough water every single day? Out of all of them, fruits and vegetables can be the most inhibited. And the reason for that is because in Canada, we don't exactly grow every fruit and vegetable that we buy in the store. They're shipped long distances, they're picked too early, they're treated with chemicals, they're GMO'd. There's just the quality is diminished over time. And that's the main cause of why it's now 9 to 13 servings. So most people aren't getting what they need. So in my practice, to help people with that, and something I do myself, because as I stated before, I don't do anything without doing it myself, or I don't recommend it without doing it myself, is that I recommend a product called Juice Plus, which is a second generation supplement, which means that it is the least processed of a whole food it can be, and it actually still maintains its food quality, meaning it's still treated as a food. So it's the closest thing to whole foods you can possibly get, and all it is 30 different fruits and vegetables that are vine ripened, so they're picked when they're supposed to. They're immediately frozen or turned into the Juice Plus product on site, and they're shipped to the person with a NSF certification, meaning that it is almost better than organic quality. And in my opinion, that is better than organic because it makes sure you're getting what you need to the door. So something I really love within my practice, it really helps my patient bridge that gap between what they should be eating and what they are actually eating. Another myth I'm going to attack here is something I heard a lot when I was growing up, and I played a pretty high level of hockey, high enough that we started getting nutrition advice. And one of the first ones we got was no carbs after exercise. And that was one thing that I just, as being a kid, like most things at that age, I just passed it off as, yeah, they know best and moved on. And I didn't learn that was wrong until I was actually in chiropractic college, and I had a biochemist teach us why that's wrong. Now, when you're exercising, you're depleting the carbs in your blood and in your cells. You're completely getting rid of your energy. Your carbs are your energy. So at the end of a workout, your body's starving. It wants anything. And we were told back in the day to just eat high protein and no carbs. Don't get carbs. You're just going to completely undo everything you just did, and that's very wrong. What happens when your body does that is it goes into a state of, oh crap, I'm starving. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to start not burning fat. It's going to go after the protein you were just trying to build. So if you ate a bunch of protein, it's going to eat that up, but it's also going to eat your muscles. So a lot of people will find that they're not getting the gains that they're wanting to, and they're completely counteracting what they're supposed to do. So what your body needs at that time is a dump of energy into it. So your blood all of a sudden needs to have some carbohydrates. And when that happens, your cells will start pulling that sugar back in to replenish themselves. And in doing so, it's called active transport. It's something we learned in high school. And what it means is that you need energy to bring this molecule in. In order to do that, it will start breaking down fat. So what will happen is if you put a high quality carb into your system right after you exercise, you'll go into a fat burning state. And if that carb is a low glycemic carb, which I'll talk about, it'll actually do a fat burning state for about an 8-hour period afterwards. So it's really important that what you put into your body is high quality. And what I mean by low glycemic foods is sugars that aren't going to make your blood sugar go way up and then way down. If anybody knows a diabetic, they need to be very careful what types of sugars they put into their body. And in fact, they're told for a lot of times to just kind of make them safe is to just eliminate sugars. It's very bad for them. They got to be very careful with that. What I would argue on a kind of a response to that is you need to eat high quality sugars, meaning that plant foods. Fruits are going to be safe for you. There's a few that aren't, like maybe eating cheese and potatoes wasn't the best idea, but most fruits like apples, oranges, bananas, a lot of those fruits are going to be perfectly fine for you because they slowly enter the blood, and they also come with fiber, and fibers can be very important to slow that process and absorption down. So my recommendation, I had a girl named Melissa Schmidt kind of talk about this today a little bit, is that she makes these little bars for herself that are high in protein. They've got good fiber in there. They've got fats in there, and they've got good carbs in there. They're all just homemade whole foods. So really good for you. And that's where it's at. Whole foods is where it is. If you can start eating more whole foods, especially fruits and vegetables while you're exercising, then you've got it going in the right way, okay? So let's talk about some bumps on the road. Now, these are going to be things that people have excuses for, and things that I hear the most when I'm asking people what's kind of holding them back when they're not getting to their goals that they want to. And the first one is that they can't get started. Now, this is something they can't seem to get to the gym. They maybe go once and they can't go that second, third time, or they're good for a week and they're not good after that. So a really good thing to start people off in the right way is picking a shred. I didn't have a ton of experience into this until this last little bit, but the shreds are really important. They're actually really cool because what they do is they kickstart you into these good habits, and they challenge you for a short amount of time, so usually in 10 days. In my practice, we use a 10-day shred that is fairly extensive, and it makes you really watch what you're not only eating, but how you're treating your body outside of the home. And it's really, really interesting. And what it does is, like I said, it just kickstarts your body into good habits, and then that'll get you rolling in the right direction. But the buddy system is the other big trick for this. A lot of people find it hard to motivate themselves to go, but when you're letting somebody else down, You kind of go, oh, okay, I'll be there. When you're really tired sitting on the couch, about to put on your pajamas, and the person goes, gym, you go, all right, fine, I'll do it. But this is really important because it'll motivate you and the other person to do it. And it doesn't just have to be 2 people. It can be a group of people, and you hold each other accountable. The next big bump in the road is inconsistency. You're going 3 times one week, and then you're not going for 1 week, and then you're back 5 times, and then you're only going once the next week. And this creates a lot of problems with the body. The body likes consistency. So once again, the buddy system is really important. You get that date, you set that date, and you hold each other accountable. You show up and you work together. But visual reminders are also very important. A lot of people will do this. Some people have vision boards to remind themselves. I like to use a whiteboard. I have a background on my phone that tells me, motivates me, okay, I need to be doing that. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be doing that. Maybe put down that cheeseburger kind of thing, right? But it's really important to have these visuals or even auditory cues for yourself to remind yourself not only why you're doing it, but why it's very important. So the next one is that we're not feeling any change. It goes off the analogy, you can't see the forest from the trees. So you're so close to what you're doing, you can't see your body changing. And even when you're tracking, you're not noticing that much of a difference. So this is going to be more of a mindset than anything else, is that you have to understand that change does not happen overnight. Rome was not built in a day. In health, there is no such thing as a quick fix. Your body needs these 3 to 4 months. And with nutrition, we say 3 to 4 months minimum, but we usually mean if you're going to make a change in nutrition, you do it for a year, and you give it a solid year, because that's how long it takes a lot of your cells to turn over. It takes days for certain ones, like the cells within your mouth. It takes your bone months to change over. It takes your nervous system years. So you need to give your body the time to completely change over. And just know that long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. Set your goals. Make them weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, so on and so forth, and reach those goals. It's very important. But the number one rule out of all of this is to hold yourself accountable. You are in charge of you. You need to answer to you, and ultimately you are the one living your life. You're the one that's going to deal with the benefits if you do something good, and the negatives if you do something bad. So I'm going to end tonight with my usual close of there's 2 types of people. Now, type 1 are people that are well motivated. They're a lot of willpower. When they see something different in their lives and they know they need to change it, they change it like that. They go, no, I don't like what I'm doing there. This way is better. And they just do it. We love those people. We also hate them because they make us look real bad. But the second type of people are the people that wait for something bad to happen. They wait for something bad to happen to themselves or to somebody they love around them. Now, in health, sometimes we don't get second chances. In health, it can be as quickly as they're here and then they're gone. And you don't want to be in that route. You don't want to be following that path because you may not get a second chance to do it. So I would recommend that if you heard something tonight that kind of motivates you, or you know somebody that could use information, then I would suggest making the change fast and making these choices, because eating good and exercise is not going to kill you. And it's not going to make you worse then. What it's going to do is give you a higher quality of life moving forward into the future. With that, thank you everybody for spending some time with me, and have a great night.